If you have the Nvidia GeForce RTX 2060 Super, should you upgrade to one of the recently released GeForce 30 series graphics cards? Well, plain and simply, it's a horrible time to buy a graphics card right now. Dread it. Run from it. On top of everything else it ruined, 2020 is still ruining our fun as PC gamers. Nvidia recently launched their new Ampere GPUs, and even AMD just released their flagship GPU in the Big Navi lineup. But these cards aren't worth the trouble right now. If you want to turn RTX on and ray trace your way to gorgeous graphics, you'll have to be patient, as hard as it may sound. It's not time to buy a graphics card. Like I just said, it's not really a good time to get a brand new GPU. Even if you have the money to splurge on one, it's best to do your research, and a whole lot of it, before you decide to spend the dough. You're most likely going through what everyone else is going through right now in 2020. The current global situation is no joke and has affected the income of billions throughout the world. So you might not have the cash to spend on a new graphics card. On top of that, this situation has affected companies that, actually have to produce these graphics cards. What this all means is that Nvidia and AMD are producing less GPUs than usual. This lowered stock combined with very high demand means we're seeing a shortage of these graphics cards available for purchase. Seriously, it's a mess. The Nvidia GeForce RTX 3070 graphics card sold out on Newegg in mere minutes. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's really frustrating, but your best bet is just to stay patient and wait until they're producing enough stock that they don't sell out in seconds. Think about it. It's a lot like waiting for the PS5 or Xbox Series X. If you missed the boat with pre-orders, you could totally pay triple the price to get a console off a scalper. Yeah, we don't recommend that, but we also don't recommend sitting in front of your computer all day and slapping F5 to keep up with the news. What you need to do is, you guessed it, simply wait until there's enough stock for you to walk into your local electronics store and pick it up with no hassle. So how long will you need to wait for a current generation GPU? It's likely that the supply will only catch up to the demand in the first quarter of 2021. While all this sounds like bad news, there's at least some good news to it. If you haven't upgraded your GPU since the previous generation, those graphics cards are still quite powerful and are so far ahead of games that they're still very much relevant. If you only play in 1080p at 60 frames per second, then you can definitely stick with an older GPU since they'll get the job done just fine. But these new GPUs are such a big step up and can future-proof your PC. Of course, when comparing older GPUs to newer GPUs, there are a few things that are obvious. For starters, an older graphics card is never going to perform better than a newer one. An older one might have a better build quality than a new one, but in terms of performance, a new GPU always wins out. That's just a given. For example, the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3090 is a $1,500 GPU that's almost 50% faster than the previous generation RTX 2080 Ti, and over 40% faster than the Titan RTX. As you can see, they definitely get more powerful each and every year. But you heard that right. It's a $1,500 GPU. So it's not for gamers on a budget, that's for sure. Now, you could pick up one of these cards for under $1,000 through eBay, but it wouldn't be under warranty, so it's a risky thing to do. If you're like us and most of the gaming population who aren't willing or able to spend $1,500 on a new graphics card, then first of all, welcome to the club, and second of all, know that there are plenty of other options out there that'll do almost the same things as the GTX 3090. If you really want a current-gen GPU, you could just take a look at the GTX 3080. It's not much slower than the 3090 and only costs $700. Yeah, it's less than half the cost of the 3090. The RTX 3080 is over 30% faster than the previous gen RTX 2080 Ti and goes for $200 less based on used prices. That's what we call a good deal. The RTX 3070, on the other hand, is a bigger step down from the 3080 than the 3080 was from the 3090. It only uses GDDR6 memory and a 256-bit interface instead of GDDR6X and 320 bits, so it's a great option for those looking to play games in 1440p as opposed to 4K. That being said, it pretty much matches the performance of the RTX 2080 Ti and only goes those for $500, which is why they sold like hotcakes. Even the recently released RTX 3060 Ti has impressed plenty of reviewers and costs only $400 despite being just a small step below the 3070. In the case of Nvidia GPUs, there are plenty of new options out there, so it seems like getting a current-gen GPU is the way to go. You could get a GPU's equivalent to the performance of the RTX 2080 Ti for anywhere between $200 to $700 cheaper. That's incredible! So what about AMD GPUs? Well, AMD has fallen behind Nvidia in recent years, but they're back at it again with their RDNA 2 architecture that they call Big Navi. They just released the RX 6800, RX 6800 XT, and RX 6900 XT, with all of these graphics cards being insanely difficult to find, as is the case with all new GPUs. The RX 6900 XT is the big boy in the Big Navi lineup. It'll set you back a smooth $1,000, but is powerful enough to do battle with Nvidia's GeForce RTX 3090. Don't get too excited yet though, because the RTX 3090 is clearly a step above the RX 3900 XT. Sure, AMD's GPU has impressive clock speeds, memory bandwidth, and is $500 cheaper, but the RTX 3090 is still the better performing graphics card, especially when it comes to ray tracing. That being said, there's a lot to like in this $1,000 package, and it's a solid option for gamers unwilling to spend more than $1,000 on a GPU. The RX 6800 and the RX 6800 XT are more affordable, as they cost $580 and $650 respectively, putting them in between Nvidia's RTX 3080 and 3070, which is just about where they are in terms of performance. The RX 6800 XT rivals the RTX 3080, and the RX 6800 rivals the RTX 3070. On paper, the RX 6800 XT performs at or slightly above the RTX 3080 and is $50 less expensive with 6 more GBs of memory, so it's got a lot going for it. In the benchmarks though, the RTX 3080 comes out on top. As for the RX 6800, it actually performs better than the RTX 3070 in benchmarks and is only $80 more expensive, so it looks quite good. Still, I don't see why you wouldn't just get the RX 6800 XT instead at that point for only $70 more. Honestly, it's a tough time to be a PC gamer because of all these GPU decisions. AMD is trying to give Nvidia a run for their money, but their high-end GPUs just aren't quite there yet. Now that we took a look at all that's out there in terms of GPUs, you may be asking yourself, so when do I know it's time to upgrade? Well, what you upgrade to will depend on what type of gaming you like to do and what you currently have inside your PC now. If you have the previous gen RTX 2060 Super or better, you should be fine. But if you're starting to notice some bottlenecking with your PC, then you should upgrade because all of these options will be much better than what you've got. If you game in 4K and want the best graphics and ray tracing capabilities for the best price, then I would recommend the AMD Radeon 6900 XT, which sells for $1,000, or the Nvidia GeForce RTX 3080 that goes for $700. If you don't have a budget, you can't go wrong with the $1,500 RTX 3090, but that is one pricey graphics card. If you do have a budget and don't care as much for ray tracing and 4K, check out the GeForce RTX 3070 or 3060 Ti, which go for $500 and $400 respectively, or the Radeon 6800 XT that sells for $650. I can't really recommend the Radeon 6800 to anyone since it's only $70 cheaper than the XT and is a bit worse in every way. Patience is a virtue, so as difficult as it may sound, we just have to sit and wait until these graphics cards are in stock, and only then will we splurge. It's just a matter of time. Personally, I do most of my gaming on consoles, so I'm not really looking for the best graphics card out there. But I'm a Nvidia guy, so give me the GeForce RTX 3060 Ti, and that's all I'll need until the next gen of graphics cards come out. What GPU do you have? Are you going to upgrade to one of these options? Let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more from TheGamer. Thanks for watching.